celebrating the wonderful memory, the anniversary of the 10th of Ramadan war victory. Well, despite the fact that it happened now 50 years ago, but we are still learning lessons from this great day in our modern history. To shed more light on this, we are very much delighted to have with us live here in the studio our dear guest, Major General Mohamed Shahawy, our strategic expert, and the former Chief of Staff of the Chemical Warfare Department. Thank you very much for being with us, sir. Happy 10th of Ramadan anniversary.
Thank you very much.
And let's start immediately with the timing, with the preparations, with the conditions which were taking place on the ground before this day, and how the Egyptian side have chosen this day and this timing in a perfect manner.
Thank you very much. First, it is such an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure to be with you in this program breakfast. And in the beginning, I want to say that the anniversary of the 10th of Ramadan, the glorious victory war, October War, is very important to instill in the hearts of new generation the meaning of perseverance and what we call about achieving impossible. In addition to that, explain the meaning of patriotism and self-sacrifice to defend each grain of sand of our land. And in addition to that, I think it proves the meaning of loyalty and belonging. So I think in October War, there was a very strong weapons with Egypt. These strong weapons in Egypt was their doctrine, victory or martyrdom. In addition to that, also the spirit of October, which is determination, strength, perseverance, and also high morale. For these reasons, all these spirits was achieved through many phases, many means of struggle, from armed struggle in attrition war, which lasted more than 1,000 days, until the October glorious war that destroyed the security theory of Israel and broke its long hand, which is its air force. In addition to that, the spirit of October also is continued in eliminating or eliminated the terrorism in Sinai, and we know that yesterday, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi inspected some of security installations, and he met many of the men of the armed
soldiers and
forces.
commanders of the
Yes.
2nd and 3rd Army Division, and we're going to go to this, but if you permit me, we'd like to know more about the deception strategy plan and how we decided that the war is going to take place, or we're going to launch this war while our soldiers were fasting and while the enemies were celebrating Kippur Day.
This is very important question. So you know that despite the passage of more than 4 decades, this war still reveals its secrets, and also about the strategic planning and also the decree or decisions of the war. We know the choice of 0 hours was very important. Why October War and why 6th of October, which coincide with the like day 10th of Ramadan and on Saturday, and why at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. For that reason, I want to say that the armed forces, it chooses the October War because it coincides with Ramadan month. And the Ramadan month has many ritual status, and also it deceived Israel that they know that Ramadan is laziness month. For that reason, we choose October, and October before the snow in Syria, because there's operations between Syria and Egypt. Another secrets that October War reveals after the passage of more than 50 years since October War until now, we know that why choose the day 6th of October, which is coincide with Saturday, and the work on Saturday, and the people still in the homes on Saturday, and also it coincides with Kippur feast, and also this facilitate for us and make difficulties for Israel to make a general mobilizations. This hinder that. And also because 6th of October, 10th of Ramadan, was the moon is very bright and shiny to facilitate the erecting of bridges, to facilitate the crossing of armored vehicles and tanks. Also, in this day, 6th of 10th of Ramadan, the difference between high tide and low tide in the Suez Canal was very short. The limitation is very small. Through this facilitate to make what we call about transit waves that we have to carry about the soldiers to the second bank of the Suez Canal. But also I stress on and explain about why do we choose 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Because in the strategic sciences, each fight started in the first light or
Early
last
hours
light,
of the
in
day
early
or
hours or the last light in the evening. So we took the middle in the 2 o'clock. Second, the sun was behind our pilot at this time and in front of the Israeli pilot, so it hindered them from the clear view of our forces in the west bank of Suez Canal. And the last thing, for choosing the 2 hours to start this fight, start the October War, that the crew in the strong points will change with each other at 2 o'clock. For when the air strikes, the bombing for 200 aircrafts and the preparations of artillery
coverage.
So they can't return back to the strong points. For that reason, I think there is a genius and in choosing this time. Why October War? Why 6th of October? Why 2 o'clock in the afternoon?
It was a comprehensive process and an operation which was studied from each point. And since you are here, sir, we should see the opportunity to speak also about the importance of chemical warfare, because this department also had a pivotal role in achieving this victory.
Because I am the former chief of staff of the chemical warfare department, I want to say something about the role and the functions of chemical warfare in October War. First thing, it cooperate with other forces to destroy Barleaf line with using what we call light thrower, something to burn the strong point. And we have a lot of martyrs that they sacrifice by their souls to liberate the land, the Sinai land. Second thing, it blinding the strong point and the reconnaissance posts and the anti-guided missile by what we call about smoke rockets or missiles. And also it cover the bridge, the real bridges and fake bridges with smoke, with what we call about smoke generators, to deceive the Israeli pilots from clear viewing of these bridges, and they don't able to destroy it. And we know that what we call about Israel and the operations of psychological operations.
Sure.
What
they claimed as al-Yad al-Tula, or the army which cannot be conquered and stuff like that, but also the chemical weapons, or those behind the camera did it, and they blocked the napalm pipelines.
Yes,
and this was also another victory, because the Israelis were threatening us that they are going to turn the water of the Suez Canal into boiling bowls of fire, and it didn't happen.
Very important for about the psychological operation that Israel had been put it on Egyptian and Egyptian soldiers. This is what we call, they said they will flame the Suez Canal with fire. And this fire, the temperatures was 700 degrees, and also the elevations of the flame is 5 meters. For that reasons, the Chemical Warfare Department, what we call about invented the chemical materials to put on the uniforms of the soldiers to prevent from burning, and also to block all the pipes. And these pipes was reached to 3,332 pipes. So how can we go and block all these pipes to prevent the flowing of the fuel to the Suez Canal? I think this is a miracle, and the October War is a miracle. We have to put in each one of the armed forces, and also about Egyptians police also, because they make what we call about cooperation with each other, and the people, the Egyptian people also were the hero for this war, because each house has an officers or commissioned officers, what we call about soldiers. So all the fields, all the what we call sectors of the Egyptians was participated in achieving this glorious victory of October War. And let me say something about the lesson learned, because I said that in spite or despite of passage of more than 4 decades, the secrets and the planning and the military of the Egyptian was revealed until now. We know that Egypt has a strong army. This strong army is the shield and the sword of it. And he maintained and he kept about Egyptian national security and the Arab national security. Second one, the leaders of Egypt and the army knew the meaning of national sovereignty and the meaning of the sanctity of its soil. So they preserve it. And as you know, that we restored Sinai by many pillars, many axes, many means, by strong, as I said before, by strong struggles, by diplomacy, political and diplomatic means, and also by international arbitration to restore Taba. You know that Taba is 1 kilometer square only. From Sinai is
but it's part of our land.
But this is what we call about the leaders of Egypt and the army know about the sanctity of its land.
Our sovereignty. And among also the lessons, sir, is messages sent to the whole world. An Egyptian is an Egyptian. Old, young, Christian, Muslim, we are all Copts. We are all Egyptians. You would find Fuad Aziz Ghali and Mohamed Hussein Al-Jamsi. You would find 2 soldiers, one reading from the Holy Quran and another reading from the Holy Bible. Major General Mohamed Shahawy and the great late Baqi Zaki Yusuf, who was behind the destruction of the sand wall. Sir, how do you see this also as another message which was sent to the whole world, that an Egyptian is an Egyptian, an Egyptian is a Copt, whether he is a Muslim or a Christian?
This is a very important message from October War, and it clears that Egypt is one fabric. There is no difference between a Muslim or Christian. And the evidence of that is from the first martyrs of the October War is Brigadier Shafiq Mitr Sidrak. He is Christian. And he was the commander of an infantry mechanized brigade. And before the war, and he gave what we call a moral speech to them. He said a lot of verses, or he cites a lot verses of Quran
Yes.
to encourage him and give him the power and determination, and both in them about the spirit of October, which I said before, strength, determination, perseverance, and what was called high morale. Also, the second lesson from this October war, that the commander of the armed forces, they listen to each one if he have an important idea. As you said, General Baqi Zaki Yusuf,
May
he
God
was
bless his
a
soul.
lieutenant
Yes.
colonel at
Yes.
that time, and he said that he can destroy all the sand bird by what we call about water bomb. They listen to them, and they, the commander of his brigade and division, and about the army field, until he reached to the president, and they show about his idea, and they implemented it in destroying and what we call about making holes on the sand bird. Maybe they remove more than 3 million cubic meters of sand into the canal by what we call about
As what was going
water.
on during building the high dam. So the idea, it succeeded here, so it's going to succeed there, and that's
Yes,
it.
they listen to him.
Amen to that.
And also one important message from this October war also, that the all persons in the armed forces cooperate with each other and collaborate with each other to achieve this miracle in this October war, and still each lessons studied in all international academic,
Institutions.
military academics on all over the world.
Let's now go, sir, to the important speech by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi yesterday when he was meeting with his men in the 2nd and 3rd Army Divisions, and also with the tribal sheikhs of Sinai. He said he sent many messages, by the way, but one of the most important ones, that eliminating terrorism is not less important than October war. And what was achieved 50 years ago was achieved during the past 50 years to get Sinai free of this devilish phenomenon by also the hands of our security personnel, whether from the army or police, and the residents of Sinai. Would you please elaborate?
I think this speech from President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi with his sons, the fighters of the armed forces, and 2nd and 3rd Army field. He said that they have the experience like their fathers and uncles. They what we call made victory of October war. The experience is extended from it.
Genetic.
Also the spirit of October is also continued to them. Continued to them when they liberate Sinai from Israeli occupation, and also from eliminating terrorism from Sinai. They also have the experience until the implementations of national project now. Do you know that Egypt, what we call invent a strategic methods to eradicate and eliminate terrorism by development, sustainable development. They made in Sinai, North Sinai especially, about 460 project. It costs what we call about 480 billion pounds. For that reason, we fight terrorism by development. So President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi say, you have the experience like your fathers in October war, and you have he also proud about their competence and combat readiness. You have to keep in touch with your weapons and also be alert to fight anything, because we know that the terrorism has no religion, has
no nationality,
no
nothing.
time,
Yes.
have no place. For that reason, he was happy by meeting them and also proud by their combat readiness, and for that reason the experience transferred from the main of October to the main until now in eradicating, eliminating terrorism, and also in implementing the national project. You know
Yes.
that in the last 10 years, Egypt implemented more than 30,000 national projects. We call it mega project, cost
And
of more
the
than
president
trillion.
vowed to continue in the
Trillion.
same right path, to continue with developing Sinai, and his piece of advice to his sons, as my dear guest said, to maintain your physical, mental fitness and not to waste a minute. You should all the time be training and learning. These were some of the messages which were sent by celebrating the 10th of Ramadan anniversary, and the head of state promised that there's going to be a full celebration to celebrate Sinai free of terrorism. Well, we were very much delighted to have with us live here in the studio our strategic expert, Major General Mohamed Shahawy, former Chief of Staff of the Chemical Warfare Department. Thank you very much for your input, sir. You're always an added value to our
I'd like to
programs.
thank you and thank your audience also.
Thank you. Well, right after this, we are going to turn back with more with my dear colleague and friend Amal Mukhtar, so stay tuned.
هناك مكان